All right, everybody, welcome to the Content Creators University. As you guys know, every single week, this is what we do. We connect with you and we bring in one of the best minds in the tech IT ecosystem. In order for them to teach us, we call them professors. And as you guys know, today we're with another professor, a guru in the tech, right? His name is Anthony D. Mays, who used to work at Google as an engineer and decided now to leave Google and pour into the community. And more specifically, he's willing to help African Americans. As you guys know, this is all about life as a Black person in tech today, right? Today, we live in a world that is governed by technology, and we need to understand how to navigate. So, one thing that we want to know, right, is to understand exactly in few words, who is Anthony D. Mays today, right? And as a Black person, how or what should be my expectations on the job market. And when we're talking about tech, exactly, what does that mean? Because tech is a broad term, right? Do I have to learn how to code in order to be able to work in tech? Is that the only thing, or are there other opportunities out there? And how exactly can he help us? So let's go ahead and bring Anthony D. Mays. Hey, brother, thank you so much. We appreciate you, man. Amazing the things you're doing. So let me ask you, right? Let me ask you in one word today. After Google, right? After Google, now you're navigating the entrepreneurship, that ship you're in there. Who is Anthony D. Mays today? What would you say?
In one word or several?
In one word.
Grateful. That's one word. Or I might also say servant. I think servant is even better.
Yeah. I like that. I like that.
And,
Servant.
I think servant is even better because I mean that in two ways. One, I'm a servant of Christ. So as a
Mm-hmm.
Christian, as someone who is a sinner saved by grace, I serve Christ in everything that I do. That's a primary motivation for me in terms of. So if you ever ask, why does Anthony do it? Well, he
Mm-hmm.
serves Christ, right? So that's one concrete reason. But then the other is that I'm serving others by doing good and
Mm.
by drawing attention to how wonderful and glorious God is in granting me to have success in my own tech journey, and just always sort of pointing people towards that as much as possible, pointing people towards Christ's own effect in my own life and towards God. And I think that by moving well and with excellence in the tech space and in what I do, uh, I want people to ask, there's something different about Anthony. What is it? And I should be able to answer, oh, it's Christ. Easy. Because
Right,
I'm a servant.
right,
I'm
right.
his servant.
I love that. I love that, man. The best leaders are the best servants, right?
That's right.
And folks that follow me, they know that we're unapologetic about that. I'm a man of faith. I believe in Christ myself. No disrespect to anybody, but we are not ashamed right here. And we're grateful for the life that we have. If it wouldn't be for him, we wouldn't be here, right? That's how we believe, and that's on whom we stand. So let me ask you this as a Black person today, right? Because I'm going to have a lot of people, Black people, right, interested when they see the title of this video, knowing that you were a Black man that used to be with a tech giant Google, decided now to help the community. As a Black person that is trying to start a career, or that's probably in the career by trying to really get to that high level, what should be the realistic expectation on the job market? How hard or how easy is it today in 2022 to find a job in tech? And when I say in tech, I would like you to take a minute and break it down a little bit. What do we mean by tech? Do I have to be a coder to be able to find a job in tech, or can I find other opportunities? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So I'll start by saying that there's never been a better time to be Black in tech. I don't think there's ever been a better time to be Black in tech. I think underrepresented talent is so highly sought after in this current climate. Not that it can't change tomorrow, but in this current climate, it's out of control. And I think that part of the reason why I am so celebrated as an individual is because I didn't just get a job at a place like Google. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
Black man that got a job at Google. So here's the thing: your expectation should be, if you're willing to put in the work and the time to be good at what you do in tech, you should expect to be very successful and to go very far and to have the longevity. So I think that's the first thing. If you're willing to put in the work and the time, this will equate to great success for you. And it's not even that you need to be the best. I'm not the best at what I do. I think there are people who are better than me, but I've worked hard and as diligently as I can to compete at a very high level because I've wanted to display excellence in all that I do. So, and as I've done that, I've been rewarded with progression throughout my career. Now, when we talk about tech, I think there's a couple of things to demystify. Number one, just because you're not working at a Google or a Facebook or a Twitter or Amazon doesn't mean that you're not working in tech. If you are working at a regional bank, which is where I started, if you're working at a startup, if you're working in the entertainment, you may be doing very technical things in industries that aren't considered tech, but you're still part of that family, as it were. So I think that's the first thing. And sometimes I talk to people and they want to get to the big companies. I'm like, but there's all this other opportunity that's not just at the big tech level. There are startups that are paying very well and providing you growth opportunities that you might not find at the big companies. You can work for Fortune 500 companies that aren't necessarily in Silicon Valley, but that are doing amazing things, and you can have great success there. I tell people sometimes, I didn't become successful when I joined Google. I was already successful before I interviewed and got in.
Because I was able to take care of. I want you to slow down there, because what you just said is powerful. Right? Please slow down there, because that is crucial what you just said, right? That you were already successful before you joined Google. Say that again and emphasize on that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. When I talk about success, I had everything that I needed was taken care of and then some. I was able to provide for my family. I enjoyed the work-life balance. I was making more money than my parents probably made in their lifetime, perhaps, or at least eventually. I very flexible hours. I would tell my parents would call me at 8 o'clock in the morning. Oh, I'm sorry, you must be at work. I'm like, nah, right. I'm not going to work for another couple of hours. Like, what? What are you talking about? You go to work at 10 o'clock? How you go to work at 10 o'clock? That's tech, So I enjoyed a lot of benefit in dare I say, even perks and great relationships and a growing network, all before I got to Google. And for me, I felt very successful before getting to that place. And and the other thing that's important about that too is you've got to realize that, especially in Silicon Valley tech, when we're talking about the big Silicon Valley firms and all that stuff. There's a culture there, and you can get sucked into that, and you can almost lose a sense of yourself and of the things that you believe and the things that are important to you. And if you're not careful, you get drawn in and you start to associate your personal value with the company that you work for and the work that you do. It's very important to have an identity and meaning apart from the work that you do and the people that you work for. And I think that I really struggled with that in the early years. And there are times when what I bring to the table as a Black man in tech and as a man of faith in tech is incongruent with the prevalent tech culture. It's not like, there's a whole bunch of people in tech who are just like, high five, I'm a Christian, I believe in God. Tech is more of an anti-God kind of a culture, and atheistic, and tends to put an emphasis on, the scientific and empirical. Not to say that, there's anything wrong with science and empirical evidence, all those things. I'm not saying that at all, but there is this minimization of faith and this dismissiveness around, folks who want to talk about God and Christ and all that. And so, I've got to have identity. I've got to know that, hey, I'm a man of faith. I'm a servant of Christ, whether I'm working for you or not. and because I'm working for you isn't going to change how I do that. And so, I think that leads to the second thing. I talked about, if you're willing to work hard, you can succeed in tech. That's the first expectation. But second, you've got to realize that this culture wasn't built for you. This culture wasn't built for me. and you're going to jut up against some of that, I think, as you're trying to explore the tech industry and the tech space. Just know that, you don't bring your whole self to work, you bring your best self to work. And you're not all the way the arbiter of what's best, right? You get what
Right.
I'm saying? And I've got
Mm-hmm.
to tell that to people all the time. There's some people who might be able to bring their whole self to work. I can't bring my whole self to work, but I can bring my best self to work, wherein best is defined by what's going to be the most helpful in that employer-employee relationship. So, I may think that, I may love a certain musician, love to rock their music, but that don't mean that I can bring my boombox set up on my desk and then, turn it
Correct.
up to 11, right? Like, I might have to leave that part of myself at home. But
Mm-hmm.
my ability to work hard and my ability to think critically about difficult problems, that I do need to bring to work, and I need to be excellent in that. So, just know that and we've seen this with regards to like how people are wearing their hair. If you're a black person and you wear dreads, you might be looked differently in tech than somebody who has a more, let's call it, well represented kind of hairstyle.
Right.
So, that's the second expectation that you should have. The third expectation that you should have is that tech is different in many ways, but in other ways, it's just like anything else, right? Working for an employer is working for an employer. At will employment is at will employment, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
get paychecks every 2 weeks, just like you do anywhere else. There's
Right.
politics and there's
Mm-hmm.
negotiation and all that stuff. And I think that there can be the temptation to believe that because you work in tech, you have these superpowers that you can't get anywhere else, or that you're invincible in ways that that you might not be in other places, and that isn't always the case. Matter of fact, most times it isn't. The rules still apply to you. It's just it may look a little bit different. So there's I think you need to have more realistic, down to earth expectations when it
Right.
comes to technologists, right? And that's the other thing too is not, it's not all coding. I'm a software engineer and
Mm.
I love doing what I do and I love that part of it. There's other people who do hardware. There's other people who work on network and infrastructure,
Mm-hmm.
but there's also chefs, there's lawyers, there's salespeople, there are communication specialists, there's writers, there's educators. Um, and there are so many different roles within the tech world. You can totally never have programmed a day in your life and get a job at Facebook or Twitter or Meta or Amazon, right? Doing some of these things that are needed in the support of any company that needs to run. So, that's one of the things that I think people sometimes are surprised by that. Like, wow, I can get into tech, not doing tech stuff and still make good money and be successful.
Right.
Absolutely. I would have been glad to be a janitor in my office, where I was working, for close enough pay and all that stuff. I would
Right.
have been a
Right.
janitor, no problem, because just being in that atmosphere, just being in that space is special. So I think people who are looking to get into tech need to widen their thinking and their mindset, and just understand that there's ways to, you might get in one way. There's a young lady named Angela that still works at Google, and I'm such a big fan. Her last name right now is escaping me, but she started off in people operations, which is Google's name for human resources,
Mm.
and learned to become a software engineer and transitioned from one space over into the other in order to unlock additional opportunities for herself and for her career. And I love hearing stories about that because it's definitely possible for you to have that kind of mobility in tech. And I think that that is one of the special things about the industry, is that it enables you to have a kind of mobility that you might not find in other places. I can work in entertainment, or I can work in sports, or I can work in
Right.
the legal profession, or I can work in some of these other in government doing tech. And I remember in 2008, during the financial crisis, I was working at a bank, and I was like, this kind of sucks. Why am I working at a bank in the middle of a financial crisis? I should probably bail out of this industry, at least for a little bit,
Right.
maybe some
Right.
things get better. And a lot of people were struggling to find jobs and get opportunity. They were losing, very high paying positions. And I just, by God's grace, I didn't have to feel any of that at all. I was able to move on to
Mm.
more opportunities and get more pay and all of that stuff. And I thank God that I was able to do that in this world that we call tech.
So let me ask you this,
Mhm.
because some folks are wondering, because you said something earlier, is
Yeah.
there's no better time than now
Mm. Yeah.
to join or to
Yeah.
work in tech, right? Would you say there's a true there are true opportunities right now to grow quickly and to make a lot of money?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's a couple of ways in which that manifests. One is being partnered with, these rocket ship companies that are, achieving these crazy valuations, right? I mean, it is very possible for you to partner with a startup, and for that startup to just take off, right? And if
Right.
you have
Right.
some
Yeah.
equity in that company, all of a sudden, you're
Mm-hmm.
owning a percentage of shares, and they go public. Now you're very well off overnight. Even if you're not a millionaire, you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially, over the span of several years, right? So that's
Mm-hmm.
very possible. But then there's also this idea of being an early adopter in tech. Tech has, unlike other industries, I think, changed the world several times over in the past 2 decades alone. And uh, coming in early on some of these technologies as a consumer, or as a content creator or as an investor, might see you really escalating in wealth very quickly. We talk about Web3, we talk about blockchain and cryptocurrencies and NFTs. People are
Mm-hmm.
investing in that
Mm-hmm.
stuff in the early phase, and there's some amount of this is a bubble that's just growing and will pop soon enough. But if you were in on those early days taking those risks, you
Oh
saw a
yeah.
lot of personal benefit from that, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But even without that, like I've never been a crazy investor, or much of an investor at all. But I've seen my own personal wealth over time be built and built to the point where I could walk away from a steady paycheck at Google and feel fine and feel like I have time to figure things out. And so all across the scale, you can find yourself doing pretty good, just being able to get into the door and make some simple moves and just having some longevity in the game.
Wow. That's fantastic, man. So let's say I'm somebody. I'm looking for a job right now, right? I'm looking for a
Yeah,
job, and because I want us to talk about how you exactly help folks,
sure.
get their feet wet, right, and
Right.
really be set for success in this industry. So let's say I'm a person, right? I'm looking for a career. What will be the top three things advice you will give me in order to be
Mm.
successful in whatever I'm trying to do? How do you
Sure.
guide people specifically?
That's a great question. So this is a question that I get a lot, and in the spirit of kind of giving you three concrete things right now, the first thing is, don't neglect the skills and the benefits that you bring to the table today. I think, again, people think that in order to get to tech, you've got to learn how to code, and then that's your entryway into tech. But if you were doing sales before, keep doing sales, right?
Hmm.
And maybe you just pepper in a little tech skill with that. But you can totally join a tech firm as a salesperson, right? Being excellent at your craft. And then if you want to transition into the more technical, you can do that. So, you know, a lot of people just fail in general to take proper inventory of the skills and abilities that they bring to the table and really show that impact on their resume and on their LinkedIn profile and on their and on social media. They fail to brand themselves properly. So, I think that is the important first step, is know what you bring to the table today and how that might translate in the tech world in a very direct way. I think the second thing is, as you're coming to the tech industry and bringing the skills you have, you might want to transition into something more lucrative for you, for however you define that. And so, one of the things that's going to be super important for you is just learning and growing and finding the avenues for upskilling yourself, whether that be the traditional academic pathways and getting
Mm-hmm.
degrees or master's programs, or boot camps, or teaching yourself, right? You can leverage things like YouTube, Coursera. Google
Right.
has the tech dev guide with google.com as a resource that you can use. So you can start working on these skills and investing time into growing them. One of
Mm-hmm.
the things that's great about tech is that it's not that hard for you to begin building things using technology. If you have a computer, which if you're watching this episode of JP High Tech, you
Yeah.
right, like you've got that right. If you're watching Content Creator University, you probably already have the tools that you need to get started. You just need to use them. Go ahead and cut cable off.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and make time, because a lot of us complain about not having enough time, when really we're just misallocating it. But you can dedicate yourself to really growing in your skills and being good there. And then I think the third thing that's important if you're coming into tech and looking to be successful is really seeking out opportunities for mentorship, and for coaching. I don't have a lot of regrets, but one of the things that I sort of wish that I had done is invested more in finding people further along in the journey, and really
Mm-hmm.
interviewing them, and getting the benefit of their years of service, and just reaching out to make those connections. I've grown more sociable. I've grown to be more connected over time. But as tools like LinkedIn were coming into more prominence, I should have reached out more to say, hey, I'm not at Google yet, but I see that you are. Would you be willing to spend 15 minutes or 30 minutes with me just to help understand what's going on? So, and there are a lot of communities that are just out there that are free for the taking, especially if you're from an underrepresented background.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there's, for instance, the Blacks in Technology Foundation, which I've been
Right.
partnered with for the past several years. You join for free, you find a local chapter, you get involved, and there's training, there's job opportunities, um, there's the yearly conference, all those things. And I love, there's NSBE as well, and some of these other organizations that you can take advantage of and be a part of. And I think that is helpful for you to, especially because when you join a tech company, you might not find a lot of that community in the company that you're working. So that's fine, right? You can go and use online networks and social media and social networking to build those networks for yourself and find the support that will help you in your career. So I think those are three concrete things that I recommend to people when they're looking to come into the space, and make the transition more formally into tech or into big tech.
Wow. Man, this is amazing. I just looked up and realized we've gotten to the end of our show. This is amazing. Before we ask how could we connect with you, for the folks that want to continue the conversation or book you or work with you, or, get some directions and help, one thing that I felt I had to ask, Anthony, is for all our Black brothers and sisters out there, what will be one or two things you will say are absolutely do not do if you want to be successful in the tech industry? Do not do this. Beware, especially for our brothers, color folks out there. What would you say, Anthony?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is don't be lazy. And I say that as someone who started off very, very nervous, very scared, but then ultimately lazy too. I didn't put in the work in the beginning, especially my college education, to to really pay attention to what I was learning and really getting involved and connected. I didn't put in that work in the way that I should have. But I say all the time, I don't think that my success in big tech uh, has come because of my natural ability and skill. I didn't even believe in myself to be successful. It was a lot of other people believing in me. And
Wow.
so, but I don't feel like it was because I was super smart or just naturally gifted at tech that I was successful. I don't think that was the reason. I believe that it was because I was willing to work, if not as hard, then harder than the
Mm-hmm.
people around me to try to get where I was trying to go. And and I've worked with people who work very hard, and I'm like, I want to beat you working hard, right? I want to be the hardest working, and so I don't
Right.
don't expect folks to just give things to you. You've got to put in the work, and you've got to be able to show the results, right? People aren't keeping a scorecard of what you're doing the way that
Mm-hmm.
you might think that they are. You've got to document what you're doing. You've got to document your impact, and then be willing to speak to that. So definitely don't be slackful in this. Like really pay attention to your craft and getting better at that. I think the second caution that I have is don't don't put your faith in tech.
Hmm.
Um, tech is great as a tool, but it's not the end all be all. Um, I love the biblical passage, and I think I mentioned this on another live stream. There's a passage that I remember in the scriptures. Some trust in horses, some trust in chariots, but we will trust in the name of the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't trust in technology. I trust in God. I use technology in order to accomplish the purposes that I need to accomplish. But tech. Not only will technology let you down, but your company might let you down. The culture might let you down. The industry might let you down. There's so many ways in which things don't go maybe the way that you anticipate. You need to be ready for
Right.
that. It's not
Right.
that I've never encountered struggles and hard times in my career. It's that I've had the faith in God and the fortitude to just press through that. And as someone who's grown up as a black man in America, I mean, endurance is what I do. you
Right.
know, Surviving is what I do. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because you got to have those skills to be able to make it as far as I have. And again, I thank God for that. But don't think that tech is going to solve all your problems. If you were horrible at money management before you got into tech, you're going to be horrible afterwards. You need to invest in improving your skills so that you get into that better place and getting more educated about how to use the instruments correctly.
Man, that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. Don't put your trust in the wrong things, right? Be real with yourself and be real with the industry that you're getting into. And I
Yeah.
love what you said, right? Tech wasn't built for you to dive in all your emotion, your faith, your beliefs, understand what game you're playing. Like I said myself in a different podcast, understand the rules of engagement, right? Before you even get started. Understand the do's and don'ts and position yourself right, which is why it's so crucial to connect with folks like us that are in tech today and that are willing to pour back. Like today, you've taken your time to come here, share your expertise, your background, a lot of advice that normally you get paid for. That's simply because you have a heart for the community. You love giving and helping others. And talking about that, tell us, you have a special gift for us, right? Tell us about the gift that you have and how can we connect with you, work with you, book you, and those amazing things to continue the conversation, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I forgot about the gift part. So I tell you what I'll do. I'm at morganlatimer.com. So first of all, I have tons of free resources and things that are available at my personal website, anthonydmays.com. So if you're looking, especially if you're looking to conquer the interview process and you want to just understand what it's like to navigate tech, I've written tons of articles that I believe that are going to be helpful to you. So you can find that at anthonydmays.com. You can also find the inspirational story of how I got into tech, so that you can see, what I had to go through and hopefully be inspired yourself. But I also run Morgan Latimer Consulting. So you can visit morganlatimer.com. That's just with one T. So morganlatimer.com. And then on my website, you'll find services and things that are available there. You're always welcome to book a consultation with me. That's a free consultation. So I'm happy to spend some time with you just figuring out what you want to do and how you want to move in tech. and I can figure out whether that can be helpful to you. So please do let me know if you found out about my services. Watching this broadcast, mention Content Creator University, mention JP Hightek, and I'll be happy to hook you up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Y'all heard, folks. Make sure you mentioned Content Creator University or JP Hightek when you go, so he can hook you up, man. This dude he's a giant in the space, and we're excited that he came here to teach us today, us content creators that are, looking for best ways to leverage and build our business and be successful, and know the way we're positioning ourselves. Anthony, I want to say a big thank you for this amazing interview and for you to come in here, taking your time and sharing all this with us. Please stay backstage as I go ahead and close, and I'll be right with you. Thank you so much. All right, family, you guys know this is how we do it. Another amazing story, amazing expertise. Anthony, now we are so humbled and excited, and we are excited for what he's doing, right? Continued success to Anthony and what he's doing. Now he's here to help you and I, right? After Google, right? He's here to pour into you and I and make sure that we have the proper tools in order to be successful in this world of tech and understanding, the do's and don'ts. And go ahead and remember morganlatimer.com. Go there, or anthonydmays.com are his URLs. Go ahead and go there, connect with him. Or he's also on social media, Anthony D. Mays. He's on LinkedIn, Instagram, and all the other great places like Facebook and stuff like that. If you appreciate, folks, this type of videos, if you appreciated this episode, well, don't hesitate to go ahead and smack that subscribe button, folks. Like this video if you like it, share with a friend or family member, and activate the bell icon if you want to be notified every single time we go live right here on this platform, family. So we've gone to the end of the show. I want to see you again next time. As you guys know, this is Content Creators University Season 3, and this is the first episode of Season 3. Very excited that we launched Season 3, and we have a lot to do, a lot coming, a lot of amazing things coming. Looking forward to that, family. So thank you so much. Be safe, like we always say. Shalom. See you next time.